July 19th, 2021. First thing this morning, we headed to Mount Rainier National Park. This national park was one of the main ones that both Charlie and I wanted to get to, and I believe it is probably one of our favorites. The pictures do not really do it justice. We were both actually brought to tears as we were there. After we left the hotel room and had gotten through the surrounding towns, the road had become serene and peaceful. The pine trees were my favorite at this point, and they stretched high to the sky with their branches reaching tall. These pine trees had to be around 150 feet tall, with a few rising head and shoulders above the rest, closer to 200 feet tall. The forest aroma filled the air as you drove through the cool, thick, pristine forest. The further we traveled into the forest, the more the road twisted and climbed. We came around the bend and was at one time greeted by the majestic view of the glacier-covered Mount Rainier peering at us just above the trees. That took my breath away. After traveling for quite some time in this beautiful forest, we decided to take an exit to go make sure we had enough gas to continue on our trip. So we continued down Route 123 towards the entrance of a different area of the park. As we got gas, another man at the gas station pointed out that there was an elk across the street in somebody's yard. The elk was beautiful, but it was too far away for me to get a good picture. So we filled up with gas, we ate a snack, and drank a Gatorade. By this time, there were 4 elk in the yard across the street. So Charlie offered to drive to the parking lot across the street so that I could get a better view. Both Charlie and I had been wanting to see wildlife on this trip, but neither of us wanted to see it while we were actually driving on the road. So in the parking lot, I felt safe. As we drove across the street, Charlie noticed that more elk were coming into the yard from the woods behind it. We sat on the bike in the parking lot and watched as more of these beautiful creatures wandered toward us. I counted at least 15 elk before we left and headed back towards the park. Back inside the park, the road continued to twist as it climbed the mountainside. Breathtaking views of the valley below teased us as we ascended. I could only imagine why the road was called Sunrise Road. The views must be astounding as the sun rises each morning. Eventually, we reached an amazing outlook point where you could see the entire mountain range that surrounded us. In one direction, you could see the winding road that we had just taken up the side of the mountain. Above us and to the left, you saw the snow-topped mountain of Mount Rainier, where a cloud settled on the top of the mountain, which made it look like he was wearing a customized hat. To the left, you saw a range of rocky cliffs that still entertained snow in those rocky crevices. Where we stood, it was at least 80 degrees, yet snow remained on those higher elevations, and some snow was even near us in the shade of the trees. Looking to the right of Mount Rainier, one would witness a completely different sight. The mountain ranges, instead of being bare and exposed rock, were now grassy plains with trees that dotted the side of the field. After we had gotten our views in of this amazing outlook, we finished the rest of the trip up to the top of the road, of Sunrise Road. As we continued and drive up to the closest proximity to Mount Rainier that we could come, I was drawn to the fields that were sprawling out on either side of us. They were beautiful fields covered with prairie grass, but also with the most delicate flowers that ranged in colors from white and yellows, oranges, and purple, like a carpet that covered the bottom of the forest floor. The trees were more sparse, allowing the sunlight to reach those beautiful flowers. The trees were also shorter and skinnier than the trees at the bottom before we had made it to the top of this mountain. After we had gotten our full view of all of Mount Rainier, and you could see the glaciers on the top of the mountain, we decided to head back down. Once again, the beauty of the mountain and the size of the forest amazed me. The way we left the park was different than the way we had come in. This was on the different side of the mountain, and here you could see more of the grass-covered mountainside instead of just the thick forest. You could also see the waterfalls and reflection lakes that were in that area. Mount Rainier has got to be my favorite national park that we visited